Hello and welcome. And for those of you I have not spoken to yet this year, Happy New Year, although we're almost at the end of January. So I am thrilled today that we're kicking off the Balancing Brilliance series again for the first for 2024, and a fabulous warm welcome to our panelists who are going to help us navigate this topic. So today we're talking about that double-edged sword of flexibility for career-driven moms. So my goals for the session are really about sharing some stats, talking about some of the controversy around and surrounding the topic of flexibility, get some real stories, real experiences, real insights from our panelists, and get some practical tips and tools and ideas about how to manage this for ourselves and in our own careers. So if you've never been to a Balancing Brilliance event before, welcome. And here's how these sessions go. Over the next 45 minutes, I'll spend a few minutes queuing up the topic. So today's flexibility. Then we'll go into our panel session and have that discussion. And then if there's time, we'll have Q&A. And if there are any questions, just pop them into the chat and we'll get to them as we go through the session. So a question as we start off, what do these companies have in common? So given the topic and given some of the posts that I've put up recently for those who follow me on social media, and given some of the things that have been in the media, it's probably not that hard to guess, right? These are companies that have recently been pushing the return to office effort. Some have been more subtle and some have been more directive. We've seen headlines like this from IBM saying that your career does suffer if you don't come back to the office. We've seen my favorite man, Elon Musk. He comes up a few times on these kind of topics about the office is not optional. And most recently, we've seen Slaughter and May, who are going to be tracking their lawyers' time that they spend in the office. So before we go any further in terms of what this means for career-driven working moms, maybe it's time to do a few introductions. So who am I? So I am an executive coach. And my passion is to work with working moms and help them thrive in this space, the chaos of motherhood and careers. I had a fabulous 22-year career in corporate where I worked my way up from the front lines to the executive office. I ran a global business and had a wonderful, wonderful career. And when I decided to leave corporate, I took some time out to figure out what my passion really was. And that passion led me to coaching and supporting working moms. So it's in this space that I now focus on helping decode and declutter and just support working moms, because it's a tough space to be in. So I'm on a mission to reshape the narrative for working moms. So that's a little bit about me. And now I'm going to turn to our fabulous panelists, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. We're going to start with Phillipa. You can see from her official bio, amazing credentials, expert in this area, an amazing person to have with us today. So thank you for joining us, Phillipa. And if you could just give us a little snapshot, little highlights about who you are.
Hi, Sally, and thanks very much for the introduction and also for inviting me onto this panel. Certainly share a passion with you about restoring the story around working moms. So I am the CEO, founder of Recruiter Graduate and Recruit My Mom. Recruit My Mom launched in 2012, Recruiter Graduate in 2019. Two passions of mine, youth and women in South Africa, and how do we make a real difference in shifting the narrative for those two groups of people in the country. So Recruit My Mom has been thankfully awarded many business awards for the social impact that we've been making. And we really started out in 2012 around educating employers about what flexibility might mean and how you could use flexibility to attract this incredible resource of talent that was untapped by employers. I'm a mom of two teenagers. I live in the beautiful Cape. And my hobbies are mountain biking and just reading and being with my family. And that's really a little bit about me.
Fabulous. And thank you so much for being here today and sharing, being willing to share your expertise and time with us. So next up, we have Rosaria, who is another accomplished career-driven mom doing amazing things. So Rosaria, there's your official bio. Again, you can see all the wonderful things that she does. And tell us a bit about yourself, Rosaria.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sally. And thanks again for this platform. I think the conversation is very, very much needed. So yeah, just a little bit about myself. So I'm a marketing graduate. I've got over 12 years experience in marketing with a number of certifications and across the board in fields of sales, marketing, communications. I'm just passionate about, equipping people with the expertise on how they can better themselves. I'm also a strategist. I'm a coach as well as a speaker. I'm also have an exciting authoring project that's coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And I'm a single mom to a 7-year-old boy, Ezra. So I'm really excited to be here and just to, get some gems really from the entire panel on navigating flexibility and careerhood, entrepreneurship, motherhood, and everything else. So thank you so much, Sally.
Well, thank you for being here. And then we have LICIA doing the career strategist, another powerhouse, amazing woman. So tell us a bit about yourself, LICIA.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you for this opportunity, and super cool to be on a powerhouse panel with all of our other speakers. So my story really is quite straightforward. I found myself in a career that I didn't choose. It chose me, corporate career. And as much as I was achieving success on the outside, on the inside, I felt like I was dying a little death every time I went to work. I was a single mum and I knew I needed to do something. I knew I owed it to myself and I owed it to my daughter to career strategize myself back to my passion and my purpose. And I went cold turkey because back then there really wasn't any other option. So I resigned and took myself through a process of figuring out what I loved to do. Who was I? Then projecting what I could do into the world and then connecting with the right people. And really what I did is I've created that as a process. So I've done the 10,000 hours. I've been taking people through career strategy work for the past decade, and I love it. And I love the fact that I get to walk in my purpose. Flexibility is always a big trigger that comes up, particularly for my female clients. And this couldn't be a more relevant time and a more poignant conversation to be having. So I'm very excited about the people that hopefully are going to get some great tangible advice, Sally, from you and from this platform.
Well, fantastic. And I'm going to lean heavily into my panel of experts here. I've got the questions and hopefully we can craft the answers together. So thank you, ladies, for being here and sharing your time and expertise with us. So now, hopping back to the topic, we saw these headlines just now. So what's the big deal? I mean, should we just suck it up and go back to the office? This is how we've always done it. Why rock the boat? Women have been managing careers and kids for years and decades. What's so different now? Well, I think that as a working mom and a career-driven mom, you'll agree that it is a big deal. These return to office mandates are a big deal for us. We've experienced during the pandemic and up to now what flexibility can mean for us and our careers and our families. And now to have that taken away from us potentially, or having to fight a bit harder for it, it is a big deal. It is a big deal because motherhood doesn't really fit into a clock. As a mother, you're always doing something. You're always busy. There's never like a dull moment in motherhood. It doesn't fit into the traditional 9-to-5 clock. And those flexible work arrangements allow us to be both present in our motherhood role and still have career success. But is flexibility really the cure-all for careers and kids? Well, there are benefits of flexibility. You have the ability to create the balance, and it's that empowerment that really enables you and empowers you to thrive. Secondly, having more control over your work environment, when you work, how you work, it really gives increased job satisfaction and really builds that feeling of well-being around the work that you're doing. And flexibility can definitely support career continuity, enabling you to keep going in your career without feeling like you're completely neglecting your kids or compromising your career. And it's not just for moms and working moms, it's for everyone. Everyone benefits from this. And employers also see more increased retention and a more diverse workforce when they embrace flexibility, which drives better business results. So it really is great for everyone. This flexibility is good for everybody, right? Well, yes, it is, and it is a rather large but. There are some very serious, very significant drawbacks to flexibility. So the first is that traditional business structures and some management and leadership styles don't really empower and enable flexibility. There are also, as we've seen from those headlines with these businesses requiring return to office, then there are concerns around this equity and equality between employees and industries. And also the fact that working on your own outside of the office environment can lead to loneliness and feelings of isolation if you're not engaging in real live conversations. And there are also concerns around if I'm not visible, I don't have access, physical access to the people who make decisions, will I get promoted? Will my career go where I want it to be if I'm not physically in the office? And the last one was one I fell for myself, this idea of perceptions. I was cautious and unwilling to ask for flexibility in my own life because I was worried about what people would say about me accessing flexible work options, and my own perceptions, let's be real, my own perceptions about flexibility and what that meant for my career. So the challenge is real. You know, the flexibility in the workplace really is that double-edged sword. Yes, it enables, but it also has some very serious challenges. So is it a career booster or a career buster? It's part of what we're going to be chatting through with our panelists. And what can you do about it for yourself, your life, and your career? So with that set up, it's not what we didn't put the pictures in. Sorry, ladies. In all my prep, still missed the pictures. Anyway, you know, now you know it's live and real, you know. Anyway, so it's time to head off for our panel discussion now. And so I'm going to stop the screen share so that we can all see each other. And how this is going to work is I do have a series of questions, and I'm going to call on one person to answer the question. If you'd like to add, just put your hand up and we can certainly come to you. So my first question will be for LICIA. So this balancing flexibility can be a bit of a tightrope between being a career booster and a career buster. So how have you managed to leverage the idea of flexibility and the practice of flexibility without letting it becoming a career stumbling block for yourself?
Sally, I think I'm going to answer your question in reverse by saying that it was a career stumbling block for me from the get-go without having the flexibility. And I came to realize that by figuring out exactly what was important to me. Now, flexibility for all of us would be nice to have. For some of us, it's an absolute fundamental necessity because we all have different drivers and we all have different requirements and needs. And I realized that what was choking me in my corporate career was the lack of flexibility. And I was prepared to take that risk to move across into a solopreneur career to be able to have ultimate flexibility, but, you know, at the risk of not the regular paycheck or not the regular, you know, benefits that one gets from the sort of corporate environment in the world. So my advice in this regard is, how do you manage it? You need to start by figuring out, is it a fundamental value that you need? Yes, all working mums and parents require it, but I've worked with some amazing clients who've said, I couldn't wait to get back to the office. I couldn't wait to have that beginning and that end. And leaving at 6 p.m. to come home to my children bath fed and just kissing them goodnight before I to bed was really what I wanted, because I needed to change, you know, chase career progression or salary or paycheck. So the real deciding factor here is it going to be a career booster or buster? Rather than allowing that external world to inform it, figure it out for yourself, because it is going to be a buster or a booster depending on where you stand within the necessity and the need for it. So my point of reference here is, if you know it's a definite for you, then the steps of how you need to work around it start to reveal themselves. And I'd love to hear from yourself in the panel how they feel about that.
I love that, because, and it really is about your choice. So we're talking about this yesterday, Phillipa. It's about, what are you choosing? So, you know, and it's about normalizing any of the choices that we make in our lives for ourselves, our families, our children, and our careers, and that everything is right as long as it's right for you.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I get from you, is that it's about the choices you make, being intentional, choosing what matters for you, and almost like, the rest is just noise, and you figure out what's right for you and figure out the steps you need to take to make it right for you. Oh, I see my screen is frozen. Whether that's flexibility or not, or something else for you.
Absolutely. It's something that I go on about all the time. It's about defining success on your own terms. And for me, flexibility was my top priority of success. And as soon as I was able to move into that, nothing was too hard for me to bust through to boost my career, because I had flexibility on my side.
Love it. Thank you. Rosaria, we're going to move to the next question now, because I'm mindful of time. So we've just been speaking about choosing what you want, what you really want. Sound like a Spice Girls song, but we've all heard that perception is reality. So how did you navigate those perceptions around flexibility in your professional life? So any tips and tricks for anyone listening?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. Thank you so much for that, Sally. I think navigating, the perception of flexibility is very crucial. And I think one of the things that I did, especially when I was in corporate, is to deliver, results consistently. So just because you're working flexibly doesn't mean that, your the work that you're putting out should be of a lower standard. And so really it's all about action speaking louder than words, making sure you are attending meetings, you are in the office as and when needed. And a big one, I think, is also clear communication. Everyone in your team needs to know, okay, Rosaria is going at 2, her son has got a game at 3 o'clock, and just really communicating in order to build that trust. My manager knows exactly where I am and what it is that I'm doing. And also I think maybe for managers that aren't so flexible, sharing successful, stories, saying, hey, I actually work half a day on Wednesdays, but I'm actually able to, deliver that report on time, actually before you needed it. So these are the success stories I'm able to share with someone maybe that doesn't, really like that idea, to say, hey, it actually works for me. And this is, the proof is actually in the pudding as well. So that's about, how to navigate some of those perceptions, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me, perceptions were a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. If you are delivering results and you can share those success stories and give the people around you options as well.
Yeah.
So I give them options. So I can't do it this afternoon because I've got my son's soccer game or my daughter's ballet class or whatever. I've got swimming. But I do have 2 hours this evening that I can dedicate to this. So you'll still get it tomorrow morning.
Sure.
But it just means that I'll work on it this evening. So you're giving options, providing options.
And
So
making sure you deliver it first thing in the morning, and not have an excuse like the soccer game went a little bit over and I didn't get to it. Then that just spoils it for everyone. Yeah.
So for me, it's what I'm hearing is there's like personal accountability to deliver what you say you're going to deliver, in order to continue to enjoy the flexibility that you want for your life.
Definitely, yeah.
Fantastic. Phillipa, on to you. So this flexibility often involves this delicate dance between professional and personal boundaries. So how do you establish and maintain those boundaries, or how have you, particularly when your children were younger, to ensure that this flexibility really enhanced your career and didn't hinder it?
Such a great question, Sally. I am going to lean into what LICIA said, because I think that what she said is so pertinent, which is it comes down to what's important to you. And when one's setting boundaries, if you have non-negotiables in your life as to what's important, it makes those lines so much clearer. And for me personally, I started Recruit My Mom when my daughter was in grade 000 and my son was in grade 1. And for me, working from home and being flexible and being the mom that picked them up from school was a non-negotiable. So when I had coaches, they would often say to me, you need an au pair. And I was like, there were just some things that were non-negotiables, and what picking up my kids from school was one of those. So setting those boundaries and knowing what's important to you is like number one. Then the question is, how do you not allow this to hinder your career? So we all run our own businesses. But now you're an employee and you work for an employer. So how do you bring this flexibility into an employer-employee relationship? And what's important here is, as Rosaria said, communication. Like, all my staff work from home, and we have a mantra around over communicate. So it builds trust. Without transparency, you can't build trust. So be transparent about what's going on. If you're going to a soccer match, tell people you're going to a soccer match. But as Rosaria said, if you're required to be in a meeting, then make sure you pitch up for the meeting and make a plan, for somebody else to fetch kids or whatever. So I think that's really important. Communication, trust, transparency, clear prioritization. Prioritize on a daily basis what needs to happen, particularly when it comes to your work, is that at the end of the day, there are deliverables that are required from you. And you need to ensure that you deliver what is required from you from your employers. And then regularly evaluate where you are and adjust accordingly. Children grow up, thankfully, and they spend less time in home and more time at school. And so you can adjust with your employer as you go. My children are now at school till 3 o'clock rather than till 12 o'clock. I have more hours available. Can I extend my hours, or I don't need as much flexibility? And that helps you grow your career. And then just having those very clear career goals, where do you want to go? And, having an eye on the ball. For me, those things are really important.
So is that being clear on what's important and where you're going?
Correct.
Which, but to make sure that you stay on that path. And I love that you brought up that, your needs change. So it also gives me some hope, and other working moms probably some hope as well, that the chaos gets less. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but or you get more used to a different kind of chaos. But you definitely have more freedom, personal freedom yourself, as your kids grow up and you go through different stages. So this is a stage and a phase when your kids are young, where you might need more accommodation and more flexibility, and that shift. And also something that's important to talk about within your work environment as well, that I might need this right now, but as we get older, I will need less of it as well. So it's just not a permanent thing for me. Or it might be. I might choose I like this to work this way forever, but I don't know. But it gives me personally hope that things change, and you're reevaluating what you need is important. So it's about the choices you make and being mindful of where you are and what you need. Love that. LICIA, well, back to you. So we've spoken a bit about what we can do in our workplace to get that flexibility and to retain it. But regardless of position, sometimes it's quite hard in a work environment to kind of motivate for that flexibility. So how can people influence that positive shift towards flexibility in their workplace? And I know that you are part of the 4-day work week pilot in South Africa, so you probably have quite a unique perspective on this.
So, I mean, absolutely, the 4-day work week pilot and movement has taken South Africa, the continent, and the world by storm. And I would say that first point is that if anybody is in an employee position, irrespective of levels, as you say, and is finding it hard to shift the mindset around flexibility, know that external changes are coming, and the future of work is more female, more flexible, more diverse, more. But in terms of the realities right now, for somebody who just happens to be the only person with, young children on the team and is having to keep up the pace and deliver alongside their colleagues, or alternatively is the support to the team and has young children and is having to sort of juggle around it. Phillipa raised a great point, so did Rosaria. Communication is 100% so necessary and important. And I would say that the best advice that I have is it's about keep it simple. Reassure the team, managers, clients, line managers, you name it. Reassure your people that you're not going to drop the ball, and focus on the benefits to the company. So flexibility is something that can easily start to weave its way into an organization, the 4-day work week has shown how South African companies have made this transition. COVID showed the world how we were able to suddenly make a transition. It completely is possible. It's about knowing where you want to go. So I loved Philippa's point of sort of eyes on the prize, knowing where you're heading in your career, authentic, honest, over-communicating conversations, but really engaging with people and, you know, the team, the environment, the ecosystem that you're at. But from a personal perspective, knowing that provided you are able to do what you need and not drop the ball within the working arena, it should be okay, and it will be okay, and it will start to evolve and start to create the type of culture and environment that you want to have within that team. So, you know, the worst case scenario would be being in the wrong team with the wrong mindset, lack of flexibility, and being a complete misfit and not producing because you're so concerned about not having the flexibility that you need. Is that a reality for many working parents? 100%. What can they do about it? Open, honest conversations and say, this is not working for me. And in order for me to be able to perform at my best, I need to know that I can do these non-negotiables, whether that's a conversation from the get start when you're employed, when you're hired, or whether it's an evolving conversation. And as Phillipa said, which is so completely true, we forget that children grow quickly. We forget that we can adjust around it. So it's about being flexible. There isn't a rigid plug and play, this is what you need to do. It's totally unique to everyone individually. It's unique to the teams, the environments, and so forth. And I would say, provided that you're able to identify what is most important for you and roll with it, it's the ultimate of having flexibility and you know, balancing all of the, you know, being the juggler and balancing it all, is acknowledging that some days nothing is going to work and some days everything is going to work. So it's about allowing yourself, your team, and your clients for that flexibility. And 100% go onto the 4-day workweek sa.co.za website, have a look and see how people have done it across different industries, across different levels, and how successful they've been at it. And if you're in a position right now where flexibility is not spoken about, know that there's an external moving force that's going to crash on the shores of your industry, whether your company wants it or not. So you can start start having those brave conversations. It's coming. It's definitely coming.
That is, I mean, that's certainly encouraging, and I love the 4-day work week pilot trial, the results and everything I've seen on it. I think it will be a game changer as well. And what I kept thinking while you were speaking was the word courage. So sometimes it really is about having the courage to have the conversation, to being prepared, to go onto the 4-day work week website and have a look at what resources are there. Who can you talk to there? What have they got you can use? But have the courageous conversation to get what you really need, because I mean, sometimes it's not going to work and they're going to go no, and it'll take a lot more courageous conversations, but sometimes we're surprised. I was always surprised by when I asked for accommodations and had the business rationale for it and had the options that are available. I got a yes, we can do that, when I was so wound up about it that I didn't have the conversation initially. So that just kept going through my head as you were speaking, that have courage and take heart that things will change.
Absolutely. And you know how when if people are nervous about speaking in public, there's that sort of mindset, imagine everyone in the audience naked, which is the weirdest thing, because I can't say that it ever necessarily worked for me. But if you're nervous about having a conversation with a very rigid environment that might not accept flexibility, or there hasn't been any evidence of flexibility, rather than imagining everyone naked, imagine that everybody came from a mother and everybody had parents who had to toil and struggle to raise them and put, you know, education on the table and sort of earn a salary. So the human condition is that we desire and all crave flexibility. So yes, brave and courageous, but if it feels like the hardest thing to do to walk into that you know, office and talk flexibility to people who don't, just remember that they were once in nappies with dummies in their mouths with a mom who was having to juggle.
Yeah, love that. And it is a great reminder that we all come from that. We were all that once. Phillipa, this one's for you. So, and you do work with in a B2B space with a lot of businesses. So I mean, and we've had some insights from Rosaria and now LICIA about how to change the narrative around flexibility on a broader scale. So for yourself, for the company, for the industry, what can we be doing to help change the conversation and the perception about flexibility at every level?
I mean, I have to agree with LICIA on the fact that it's coming, or it's here. You know, this, yes, we're seeing a lot of organizations pull people back into the office, but what we're also seeing is a lot of resistance from employees. And, you know, there's a statistic which we're about to release, which is that 46% of women currently in jobs are looking to move. So employers are going to have to wake up to the fact that if they don't offer flexibility, they're going to lose really top talent. So it's the confidence to know it's coming, the confidence to be able to have these brave conversations, but at the end of the day, not at the expense of the business. So businesses are there to provide for all of us economically. And so one can't just put one stake in the ground and say, well, I'm demanding this and it's at the expense of the business. It has to work for the employer. It's got to work for the business because everybody then wins. So it's win-win. So collectively, for me, it's about publicly speaking about how flexibility is working for you individually, whether it's in public spaces, LinkedIn, any social media, you know, share the stories of success. I think that's really, really helpful. And then really engage on a win-win manner with companies and employers. You know, we know the stories of, I don't want to employ somebody working from home because they don't, you know, they're on Facebook all day or they watch YouTube videos all day. So as a collective group of people who want flexibility, let's pitch up at work and let's do what is expected of us. And just having that sense of responsibility in delivering what is required of one. And then be willing to try things and sacrifice. I'm glad LICIA raised the 4-day work week. One of the great things about the 4-day work week pilot and trial globally and locally is that it's driven from the employee side. It's driven from the bottom up. So it's the employees that come to the employers with the plan. It's them figuring out how 4-day week is going to work. It's not top down. And so if we're really going to collectively shift the narrative around flexibility is to really look at how do we do this from bottom up rather than just relying on it coming from top down.
Love that. Give me a second. My battery's about to die for some reason. This is completely live, unscripted, amazing. You're going to see a new part of my office now. Welcome. And I definitely think that bottom-up approach is also really, really important. So that creating the win-win environment, because it's not just for me. It's for everybody else, but it also has to work for the business, because the business has to work for us to have a job and be employed. So finding that win-win space is really important, actually. So that's a great reminder.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll tend to think about me and the other people, but the business has to still function. So how are you helping that happen while getting what you need? And then Rosaria, last question for you is, you've really given us some really great ideas and inspiration about how we can go about this. And it's still, have you faced any specific challenges in your career that's specifically tied to flexible work arrangements? And then how did you overcome them in that space?
Yeah, definitely. I know. Thank you for that question, Sally. You know, I mean, the challenges are there, the same with working a 9 to 5. But I think for me, working flexible, working, you know, arrangements, the challenges have been work-life balance. So sometimes I find myself actually burning through the midnight oil trying to get stuff because I feel so guilty, you know, that I had like 2 hours chunked out of my calendar. And so, you know, that leads to burnout and fatigue. And those are some of the challenges where it's like, okay, you've put in the hours that you needed, it's fine. You can actually go to bed now, but you feel so guilty as moms, even, you know, want to outperform and always show up as our best. So that's one of the challenges. And I think also, especially now being an entrepreneur, is just that isolation. I'm constantly alone in my office. I don't have an entire team I can go and quickly catch up with. Hey, what's happening on your side of the world? So that isolation, I think the best way of dealing with that kind of challenge for me is definitely going out to see clients in person, rather meet for a coffee instead of a Zoom date. A Zoom meeting. And so rather do a coffee date. And so it's those kind of things that really do help to overcome those challenges. And I think the last one would definitely be team collaboration, because I'm based out maybe in Johannesburg, a team is in Cape Town, others are in Free State. It's very difficult for us to all collaborate on the same kind of project, but I think you can definitely overcome that by making sure everybody's aligned with the goals and the objectives that need to be done. So the flexibility, you know, working arrangements is not all butterflies and roses. It is an amazing concept, of course, but I think some of those challenges do exist, and how do we navigate around them is really important as well. Yeah.
I think those are all really great points to remember, because it's not the cure-all. Flexibility is not the cure-all, because it has its own challenges, including that constantly working constantly on, unless you're setting those boundaries, and that feeling guilty. And I mean, I don't think anyone's saying that they won't ever go to the office. It's just choosing when is the best time to be there. To ensure that collaboration, to avoid the isolation, and still have that team vibe. So it really is about, it's kind of feels like it is a give and take, an ebb and flow where everyone wins. And some days, as LICIA said, some days it'll be amazing and some days it'll be really horrible. And it's okay. It's okay, because that's life in general.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thanks, Sally.
So thank you, ladies. I'm going to put my laptop down. I have got a few final thoughts from this very strange angle that my laptop is currently at. Just in terms of my key takeaways, I've been taking notes and circling stuff that I really have taken out of this. So for me, there's a strong piece around accountability and responsibility as well. So it's not just a free for all. I'm going to stay at home and bake with the kids all day. You know, it really is about being accountable and responsible, delivering the results for the business to create that win-win, which enables you then to have the flexibility to deal with the other parts of your life that are also important to you. And it's about getting really clear on what is important, how important are these things to you, and what are you prepared to sacrifice or give on. So what are your negotiables and your non-negotiables, and how do those play out? And being flexible, adaptable, and going with the flow sometimes, and knowing that things will work some days and not work other days, and it's okay. It's all okay. And managing the challenges, the personal challenges around guilt and burnout from accessing these flexible work arrangements. The other point I had, the courage. So have courage and take heart was the other thing that I circled here. So have courage to have the conversation and take heart that things are going to be changing. And let's be part of that change, positively part of that change. So yes, it is a double-edged sword, but we can manage it, and we can support each other, and speaking up about our challenges, speaking up about our wins as well, about how we've made it work to inspire other people and other companies to change those perceptions on flexibility. So we have reached in the panel discussion. Thank you, ladies. I could talk all day about this, but I won't, because we have to get back to our lives and making a difference. So here we go again. Whoopsie, it's seeing all my emails. Is my final thoughts. So, and I'm going to close out. We've got a few more minutes to spend together, and I love having these conversations. Like I said, I could have this conversation all day. So, if anyone wants to get in touch with me, I am on LinkedIn, and you're welcome to book a 30-minute clarity call. There's a link in the bio. There's a link on the website. Email me. I'm available. I love to have conversations with career-driven working moms, with other experts in the field who support working moms and parents. So please do get in touch. And I would invite you to have a look at the Balancing Brilliance Launchpad. So if you are a working mom and you're struggling with balance and you're struggling with flexibility, struggling with mom guilt, time, the Balancing Brilliance Launchpad might be the short course that you need. It is 4 videos, 16 tools, four workbooks, because I know how busy we all are. The entire video, all the videos together are under an hour. The workbooks take as long as you need to work through what you need to work through. And it's accessible as you need it, whenever you need it, it's always there for you. There is a link on the screen. If you want to know more, let me know, get hold of me, I can share with you. Just an invitation for you to join me on this journey. And I would say as well, please do get in touch with our fabulous panelists. So here's how you can get in touch with Phillipa. Again, they each in their own right have an amazing wealth of knowledge and experience. And I know how much value they bring to my life. So I really encourage you to reach out to them and get in touch and have conversations with them as well. So Phillipa is on LinkedIn, the website, Recruit My Mom, and Facebook and Instagram, Rosaria. Also LinkedIn, the website and email as well. Please reach out to these fabulous women. It's part of why we do this, is to enable you to reach out to these wonderful people. And Rosaria, you were going to talk about something special?
Yes, so exciting news. I'm working through my ebook called Triumph Through Authenticity. So it's really just about discovering your unique strengths. How do you overcome those, self-limiting beliefs, and really, achieving success authentically and in your authenticity. So I've got a wait list. I will share the link as well with Sally. If you want to get that free ebook on triumphing through authenticity, I'll definitely be able to share a copy with you as soon as it becomes available. But thank you so much, Sally, for the platform, and to my fellow panelists as well. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks.
Well, this is a fabulous book. I'm a bit jealous. I'm dying to publish a book. I've got some in the works, so you've inspired me. Can't wait. I'll definitely be joining your wait list. So congrats, and I can't wait to have a look and read through. And of course, the fabulous LICIA. Oh, she's got dozens of things that you can sign up to. The podcast, the Career Revival Code, all on LinkedIn. Join the Career Revolution series. So please do get in touch with LICIA. I don't know if you have anything to add to this page.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you for showcasing us, Rosaria. I'm so excited for your book. I absolutely love the cover. And it was lovely and fantastic to be here. But I really just want to say to everybody who's listening, Sally is a corporate survivor who is working within the space. She has twins. You are better support. You couldn't be better supported with somebody who has a coaching background, coaching qualification, who has walked through adversity herself and who knows exactly how to take you through it. So, there's a plethora of wonderful, amazing advice and expertise. But if you need somebody like Sally in your corner, reach out to her and book that call, because I wish Sally was there for me in 2013, and she wasn't. So don't delay and don't not get Sally into your corner, because she is she's better equipped to do this than anybody here, and she's got a wicked sense of humor too. So I can guarantee that you're going to have lots of fun if you work with her.
You're making me blush. Thank you. It is lovely, and I love hosting these events and meeting fabulous people and building connections with people like my panelists and everyone listening, and keep an eye out, because we're still going to be holding Balancing Brilliance events every month. And I'm also going to throw in webinars every other week as well. So it's going to be more stuff coming. So I just want to say a huge thank you to our panelists. I love having these discussions. I love engaging with you ladies. I think you're all amazing. I really hope that everyone got as much value as I did out of the discussion. So thank you for everyone, for your time, your energy, for watching this, for listening to this, for reading up on this. And here is to all of us thriving as career-driven working moms from here on forward.